Hi, I'm Stacy.
And I'm Kelsey.
And we are Pilates Before Pickup. All right, exciting episode here. This is episode 10.
Ooh, I love that.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, double
10
digits.
episodes in.
2 hands.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So we are here with Allie Riley, owner of Stride Physical Therapy, and we are so excited to dive.
So excited. Oh my gosh. I've been looking forward to this one.
The anatomy queen over here.
Ooh, fun. I just have so many questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're super psyched to get into this. Let's just hop right
Let's get
in, right?
into it. So I want to know, what made you take on physical therapy? Like, what's your story? Where did this start? Kind of like what got you going in this physical therapy world?
Sure. I knew I wanted to be a physical therapist since I was in high school.
No way.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel like very lucky that I just kind of like clicked with something early on. I was an athlete and went to physical therapy for like random little things, and just like, I loved it. I liked the anatomy, the science. I liked like helping people kind of get back on the field. And so when it was time to like figure out college and whatnot, I just went right for it. So it was easy.
Wow. Yeah. And where'd you go to school? Remind me.
So I did my undergrad in health sciences at Gettysburg.
Nice.
Where I like played softball, a little bit of soccer. And then I got my graduate degree through the Mass General Hospital Institute of Health Professions. It's a big, long mouthful.
Wow, that is a mouthful.
Yes.
That's amazing. Was there a moment where you realized you wanted to take a more whole body approach?
Yeah, absolutely. So I worked in kind of like an insurance-based clinic for like 10 years and loved it, loved the people. But it was a little restricting in kind of how you can approach your patients and your clients, because you're dictated by productivity and insurance and all those sorts of things. So Stride was always sort of like a side gig for me for a long time, like nights, weekends here and there. And then after our son was born, who he's now almost 5, I realized like I kind of wanted to go all in on my own business. So I wanted the flexibility. I kind of wanted to build something that I was really like passionate about. And that really allowed me to like treat how I saw more fit for my patients. So that kind of meant like treating the whole body in terms of like anatomy and systems. Like, you know, if you have knee pain, the reason for your knee pain could be like your ankle or your hip for sure. So taking that sort of approach, but also like being able to treat the whole person. So like not just getting them back to like being able to go for like a short walk or something, but like being able to get them back to like these higher level goals and kind of teaching them how to treat themselves, like how to feel their own body, how to kind of be a little bit more aware so that they can just be like more present in their body.
Yeah. So you're educating your patients a little bit deeper than maybe you were before.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so you opened Stride Physical Therapy. What year was that?
Oh my God, what year is it now?
We are in 2026.
I'm like, let me check the calendar.
It's still 2024. I don't know why that year is stuck
100%.
So, I mean, I started Stride in like 2016. But then, just like I said, just kind of like a couple patients a week. And then in 2021, when Noah was born, was when I left my full-time job after my maternity leave. Sorry about that. And then went like all in with
Did we talk about what you were doing before? Did we already touch on that?
Well, we touched a little bit, if you want to get into it.
Sure. Yeah. So I was at the Spalding outpatient in Charlestown and absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic place. But
where'd you start? When did you start that?
When I graduated undergrad or
what year
grad
was
school.
that?
So that was 2011.
2011. Okay.
Yeah. So I was there for a long time.
My family spent a lot of time there in 2013. My brother-in-law lost his leg the week before the Boston Marathon.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know if I've ever told you the story. He was in a construction accident. And it was like 7 days before the Boston Marathon. So in a way, like he kind of got swept into that. So he got to meet like a lot of cool celebrities and stuff, but he would always like preface it with like, oh, I'm not a victim. Like I'm a dumbass that got in an accident. But he like, I remember he got like Kurt Schilling's book and like he came in and signed it and stuff. But I
probably met him.
Yeah, maybe.
I probably met him.
He is like a ball buster. You know what I mean? He was like not, but he had an accident. my sister was 6 months pregnant, and they called her and they were like, Mike's like sprained his ankle, and he goes on the phone, he's like in complete shock. He's like, yeah, babe, I'm just gonna like sprain, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes and like he's
without leg.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crush injury, so they kept his leg in the boot for a while. They were up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and they like kept it in the Timberland, and they couldn't. They were like, this is way beyond our. You know what? It was 7 days after the marathon because they couldn't get a bed, and that's what the problem was. Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, we loved Spalding, and that area is such like a fun place to. I mean, fun relative, but we would get lunch, and there's a lot going on over there.
Yeah, it was a beautiful new hospital, and it's if you're gonna rehab like with that view, and it's a nice place to have to do.
Yeah, and what did you have like a specific area that you worked in, or
at that time it was mostly like orthopedics and sports. I wasn't really into pelvic floor quite yet, but it was a lot of like athletes and people kind of getting back into fitness and recreation.
Yeah.
So I remember I first started coming to you after a tennis injury.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Of course.
I was like beside myself. I was like, I cannot believe I literally I thought I tore an Achilles. I had no idea what was going on. Sorry,
so it was like an ankle?
Yeah, I felt like a pop.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I went to a few different physical therapists. They all did different types of treatment.
Yeah.
And I was still in pain. So I talked to Allie and she was like, I'll see you. And I loved how you took a different approach.
Thank you.
It was not just the massage or the dry needling or the electrotherapy. It was the strength side of it all.
Totally.
And getting back to your,
strong,
stable, strong and stable.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was my first experience with understanding pain and how to get back to movement with, that in mind. Because I was I want to get back to tennis tomorrow. You're no, we got to work through these things. So anyways, as someone who's experienced that, why do you think so many women are dealing with pain or discomfort, but just kind of push through it? Because that's what I was literally ready to do. And you're like, pause.
Yes. I think one reason is whether or not you have children or not, women are just busy. There's so many things we want to do that we tend to put our needs kind of lower on the list. So it's a lot of I'll deal with that later. It's not that bad. I can get through it. And then things kind of start to escalate. And I also think women are sort of told your symptoms are normal or not that bad. And just push through them, you'll be fine. And not really validating this is something you should pay attention to and spend some time on. So I think because of that, we're conditioned to just push it away and hope it gets better, which sometimes it does. With time it gets better and that's great, but sometimes we need to sort of take a moment for ourselves. Yeah.
So what do you think are some common movement patterns or habits that you see that kind of lead to that injury or dysfunction?
Sure. Sometimes I see, especially in busy people, whether or not you're a mom, that we tend to do nothing, and then everything really fast. So we're I can go back to I haven't played tennis in years, but I can go balls to the wall and play super hard. And I get that. Sometimes I'm I haven't run in a month. I'm gonna go run. I'm what are you doing? You have to kind of build up to it. So sometimes I see that sort of all or nothing approach can lead to injury if our body just isn't acclimated to that load or stress yet. So that can happen. So I always tell people start slow. It doesn't mean you have to train for it, but start slow so that you can build up when you feel ready. So I see that a lot. And then I also see the opposite where it's constant. They're doing this all the time with absolutely no rest.
Yeah.
No recovery days, no stretching, no stability work or anything. And that can also kind of lead to these overuse type injuries.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. Well, now going back to the pain of it all and injuries and whatnot, I remember when I came and saw you, I had this calf injury, but I also was dealing with a lot of lower back pain. And I remember you were the first person I started chit-chatting with it about after going to a chiropractor and just uncertain with where it was coming from. Sure. But I remember you diving into all of these other parts of my body, my toes, my hamstrings. Yes. We covered it all, and it was so interesting. So how do you help people connect the dots between what they're feeling and what's actually causing it? Because again, you took a totally different approach to like more than what anyone has ever looked at.
Good. Well,
you pulled back the curtains.
Yeah. So I think it's education, kind of what you were hitting on. Like I have the time to do it now with each patient and letting them know like, hey, I know this seems crazy that I'm looking at your feet for like your back, but here is kind of how it all works together. And, it's just sort of figuring out where the source of the symptoms are coming from, and everything, what's happening at your foot can affect your back or your shoulder. So it's important to kind of look at that as a whole, but just explaining everything and taking the time to answer questions and make it all make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
Thank you.
That is so fascinating. I want to get into the pelvic floor because that is like a something I'm really have become interested in. I remember I'm a dancer. I went to college for dance.
Amazing.
And when I was 18, I'll never forget, like one of our main like anatomically led dance teachers said, we're going to engage our pelvic floor. And I was 18. I'm like, is she talking about? And she was like, basically it was like Kegels is like the way that we could understand it at 18.
Sure.
Can you break this down for us in a way that feels a little less intimidating, especially as it relates to moms or even just like women in their mid-30s? And
absolutely.
How that changes.
I always say like we were never taught to breathe properly or engage our pelvic floor. So let's learn now.
Yeah, it's never too late.
I should have brought my little model. I just
I know.
around with a little vagina. Oh my gosh. No big deal.
That fires me up.
Yeah.
So I think like the term pelvic floor has definitely become more like mainstream, which is great that people are talking about it. But really like my view on it is it's just another part of the body. Like it's just muscles and bones that have a job. It happens to be that they support more of like our sensitive organs. So they're supporting in women, the bladder, the uterus, obviously, and the rectum. So it can be a little kind of sensitive to talk about and think about, but really it's no different than like your knee or your shoulder. And the pelvic floor is just, it's a group of muscles that helps to kind of support those organs to make sure they're doing what they need to do. We can kind of manage pressure. Our whole like abdominal cavity or like your core canister is basically just like a pressure system. So we breathe in, pressure increases. We have to manage that pressure. We have to make space for it. And our pelvic floor helps us to kind of make space for that pressure. And then we breathe out and there's less pressure and we have to kind of like push back on that. So it's sort of like, I almost think of it as like a trampoline. Like if you picture your pelvic floor muscles as like the middle part of a trampoline, like the stretchy part, when you jump down on a trampoline, you want it to like absorb that force. You want it to stretch and sort of like lower you down, but then you don't want to stay on the ground. Like that's not fun. You want the trampoline to contract and push you back up in the air. That's kind of what the pelvic floor does. And when there's dysfunction there, if your trampoline is like too tight or too loose, we can see symptoms. So we can see like potentially leaking or pain or pressure or something like that. So it's really just muscles and bones that if they're not doing their job, we can see problems.
Are there common movement patterns or habits that you see that lead to dysfunction or even injury?
Sure. Breathing is a big one. Everyone leaves my office and they're like, I didn't know how to breathe.
Yeah.
But it's true. Sometimes things get like a little flip-flopped in our breathing pattern and we tend to like not use the pelvic floor muscles well. So they don't relax when they're supposed to, and then they don't contract when they're supposed to. And that can lead to dysfunction. So definitely a mismatched or like poor timing with breathing or how you use breathing during movement can definitely affect the pelvic floor.
Could you give us like, just for the people to take away, if they were sitting in their car right now listening to this, is there one thing that they could think about just in rest?
Yep.
To safely sort of practice like that engagement of
totally
floor.
Yes.
Ooh,
absolutely.
good question.
Yeah,
I added that in.
So
I was like, teach me now.
Stacey's like, wait a minute, where's she going with this?
So one thing that I see often is when, especially after pregnancy, because there's just like no more room in late pregnancy, so then postpartum things get a little out of whack. When we breathe in, we shouldn't be like sucking in through our belly. We shouldn't suck in and like breathe through our chest and neck. You should be breathing and expanding. Like everything gets bigger when you breathe in. And that does not mean, for everyone watching, that you do this like big belly breath necessarily. If that's where you want to start, I think that's fine to kind of get that pattern. But we want to breathe like through our rib cage and use our diaphragm.
Yes.
And then as we exhale, that's where we want to kind of like engage. So oftentimes I'll see that that's flip-flopped. Especially I see like
We're both like,
yeah.
should we practice?
Yeah, exactly. It's like do Pilates.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why I think Pilates is such a nice complement to pelvic floor therapy because it reinforces that pattern for sure.
Okay.
I would tell women if you're struggling with that, hands and knees is a nice position to start to try to like feel it, like let your belly kind of like hey, stop sucking it in. Like let your belly go. Like I tell women all the time, I'm like, there's no one else in here but me. Like let your belly go on that.
It can be
inhale.
hard. It's
oh
like
my
you've
God.
almost been conditioned to just like keep it
Keeping it
in.
Suck it in. Exactly.
You know, it's funny. I remember us like practicing me in a plank. You're like, nope, you're not there yet. We're not doing that. We're going to go right back to all
knees.
fours.
Back to knees.
Yeah.
And it was humbling, but so helpful. I was like, wait, you're right. I suck at this.
There's people in our classes that will bang out the most challenging abdominal move.
Yeah.
And obviously when you take an exercise class where like this isn't the same thing that you're going through, but I feel like sometimes it's hard to help our clients realize that almost going back to the very top can be the most challenging version of the move.
Absolutely.
Basics.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Getting that coordination down is sometimes the hardest part. And then you can quickly move to those harder positions.
Yeah. You're like, when do I inhale and when do I exhale?
Right.
Literally,
Yeah.
that still sometimes like boggles my mind.
Yeah.
So
Is there an image that you use when you think about, like oftentimes we'll hear things like zip up a tight pair of jeans or narrow your hip bones or lift your pelvic bone to your belly button.
Yeah.
What image is one that you think is a little bit works better for the PT side of it?
Yeah, those are good. Those are all good cues. And I think everyone finds a different one that works for them. Sometimes I'll try a cue, like, you know, think like you're zipping up from the bottom and it won't work for someone.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we gotta find something else. The cue I've been using a lot lately is to actually just like soften. Like I find people are actually like clenching too much in the abdominal muscles. Like they're trying too hard. Like let's soften like these upper abdominals and then just feel a little tension kind of in those lower abdominals. So soften has been a word I've been using lately.
We gotta use that.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Sorry.
no,
I'm like,
go off.
I'm staying in the pelvic floor realm. I'm curious about how C-section scar tissue limitations. I have I had an open appendectomy between my two children. So I have that like upside down T going. And I feel like there's so much restriction from the scar tissue. I've gone to PT and had like, I can't remember the thing where you sort of like rub it out literally.
Yeah.
But curious if, you know, what the work is after a C-section compared to a vaginal birth.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. So I've had 2 C-sections. So I feel that scar tissue pain. It's a lot. So if you've had a C-section, they cut through those lower abdominal muscles. Like it's a lot of trauma. So the first thing that's important is to remember that those need time to heal. So taking that full like 6 to 8 weeks before you start like intense exercise is important. That doesn't mean you can't do nothing. Like that's when you start some breath work and gentle like kind of reconnecting of those muscles, starting to get the timing, the coordination down. In doing that, hopefully we can kind of limit how much scar tissue forms. But some women, it's just genetic. Like you make more scar tissue, so there is some adhesion there. That can certainly affect how well those muscles are going to work. But our bodies are so adaptable. So if we recognize that, it's then finding a position or an exercise that helps you kind of feel that connection and feel those muscles working and progressing from there.
Is there any like manipulation that someone could do at home with their own scar that you recommend?
Definitely. So scar massage is really important. You can do it just with like a little bit of lubricant and your own fingers. You could rub over it. You can do circles. You can get a silicone cup, like just on Amazon or something cheap, and do like a little bit of suction over it to try to get things just
Blood
a little
flow
bit
and
like
stuff,
moving a little bit more, get things like kind of gliding and sliding. Load is one of the best ways to heal that tissue though. So all those things will help, but you need to load the tissue to heal it.
What does that
Oh,
mean?
that's so interesting.
Like you need to stress it. You need to make it work.
Get back into the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the right way so that we're not compensating or working around those muscles. And that's where it goes back to kind of what you guys said. Like sometimes going back to the first level is the hardest part because we're going to identify those muscles that maybe aren't coming to the party. Like they're not, the timing is a little bit off. So the bigger muscles kind of take over. So dialing down back a little bit and finding that muscle can be the best way to heal it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome to hear.
And how okay, so I have 2, Stacey has 2, you have 2. But what about like 3, 4, 5, 6 pregnancies? Like what's a good way or like something that they can think about as each pregnancy develops? I feel like sometimes if you've been pregnant once, you're like, oh, I know the shtick. But my 2 pregnancies were very different. And my postpartums, which is a great segue, but my postpartums were extremely different. So is there a way that women who are on their 4th pregnancy or whatever, like even they need to take it back to the basics?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's, family planning is very personal, but if you can give at least 12 months between pregnancies, 18 ideally, that's going to give your body really that time to heal. And sometimes people can do that and sometimes it doesn't happen. And that's where it's about just kind of maintaining that strength during the pregnancy, really preparing for birth, recovering from birth the right way. And I'm sure that is very hard if you have 4 or 5 kids.
Yeah. Gosh.
So
can't imagine.
Yeah. And a lot of it, not a lot of it, some of it is genetics. Some women heal a little bit more easily. Their tissues, their muscles kind of come back together with more
Age,
elasticity.
I'm sure, has to do with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it. But if you want a big family, like, go for it. I don't want like the physical demand of it to scare someone. It's just like you have to pay attention to your healing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention to you
Yes.
after baby.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So segue into postpartum a little bit deeper. We talked a little bit about this already, but what do you think women should actually focus on when returning to movement postpartum? Like what's a good starting point? Like we talked about like the basics, but like if maybe like Pilates isn't for them, but like they want to get back to movement, how would you recommend someone kind of start?
Absolutely. I would say the best way to start is to maintain it during pregnancy as best you can. Even if you're on bed rest, there are things that you can do.
Yeah.
But then as we think about returning to postpartum, like we said, reconnecting with those core muscles, the pelvic floor, kind of reestablishing your breathing pattern is a really important first step, especially in those first like 6 to 8 weeks. So that then when you are a little bit more healed, no matter how you delivered, you can start to kind of add some load at that point, like add some weights, challenge things a little bit more. Thinking about some cardio is important too. So walks, if you're able to, are an important start. I will see a lot of women just try to get back into like higher intensity things at that 6-week mark, and they've done nothing for 6 weeks other than like feed and keep everybody alive, which is okay. So just recognizing like what you've been through and kind of starting from there.
Yeah, no matter what your delivery looks like, it's this huge traumatic thing to your body.
Absolutely.
I always feel like 6 to 8 weeks is even crazy. Like I, as someone that was very aware of my body at 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, I was still so scared of like making the same mistake I did after my last pregnancy.
Sure.
So is there a way that you can sort of eliminate that fear aspect and knowing you're doing something good for yourself and sort of like staying safe when it comes? I mean, I had a C-section, so I think it was like the surgery.
Sure.
That mental blockage is like such a part of it.
Yeah, and that's scary, especially if you've never had surgery or you're not in the health field. Like that's a major surgery, and if you deliver vaginally and you have tearing, like that's traumatic and can feel really scary. That's where I would say like get some guidance. Yeah. So go see a fitness expert who's trained in pregnancy and postpartum. Go see a pelvic floor therapist. Like, don't go at it alone. And I think there's a lot out there on social media now with tips and things, but it is pretty individualized. So like seek help. Like you don't have to do that alone.
Yeah.
I remember after my first pregnancy, my physical therapist would put her hands and be like, okay, now you're going to exhale. And I would be like, am I doing it? And she'd be like, no. You know what I mean? But her being able to put her hands on my body and be like, because it was just very numb.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, this is right. And this is correct. It's like that tangible cue of her. And then I knew what I was doing after that. So there is such a, I mean, in other countries, everyone would have PT 6 to 8 months,
right?
but in this country, you
We're
got to
rushed.
seek it for yourself if you can. I mean, obviously,
absolutely.
it's a cost and it's a time-consuming thing, but it just feels really important, especially as someone that ended up in a back brace in between the two.
Oh, goodness.
Kids,
nightmare
just
toss.
because of horrible deliveries. Yeah.
Before moving on to the fitness crossover, what's one takeaway or one thing you wish more women knew about their bodies after having kids?
I want women to understand that like it's a different body now. Like pregnancy really changes your anatomical structure. Like hips get wider, pelvic floor, abdominals have been through a lot of trauma. So yes, there's work we can do to regain that strength and the control, but your body's going to look a little different, and that is okay. Like you grew a person. Be proud of that. Embrace it. Yes, we want you to come back strong and feel good about your body, but that notion of like bouncing back, getting your old body back, like we got to get rid of that.
Throw it out the window.
And
Please
also,
throw it out the
throw
window.
your jeans out the window too.
Yeah.
Because even if you like get back to whatever getting back means to you, like you just are different.
You're
like
different.
things are different, and you should just be comfortable.
Yeah,
exactly.
Agreed.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
great.
now Stacy tells me that you have incorporated this Pilates and intentional movement, and I'm wondering how you can, or if you can talk about how that supports you and what you do now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think Pilates is a fantastic complement to like pregnancy and postpartum recovery. What I tend to do, if someone comes in and they're like, oh, I take Pilates, I'm like, awesome, perfect. You're making my job really easy, because what I can do is just give them some tips of how to modify those Pilates moves for where they are and finding those deep abs, and then bring that to whatever class they're doing so that they feel a little bit more in control of how to recruit those muscles safely and with balance as they're coming back to class. So it's such a nice segue like back into fitness. It's a really great crossover between rehab and fitness.
Yeah, like a lot of the moves, although the lingo might be slightly different, the moves sort of align in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice way to like have that body awareness, get that foundational core strength, and then challenge yourself from there.
Yeah.
So my mamas that are doing CrossFit or whatever, they're not into Pilates. Is there something that they can be thinking about as they sort of come back into their workout while they're exercising, whatever their choice to move is?
Sure. Breathe. Don't hold your breath. I see it all the time. Like this big brace, this big breath hold.
Yeah.
And like, yes, we need to do that when we're lifting our like max weight. But if you're needing to do that when you're like just returning or lifting low weight or lifting up your kid, like that, there's a problem there. So if you're getting back to kind of a little bit like more like HIIT workouts or high intensity things, and you're having to really hold your breath to get through it, that's probably a problem. So breathe.
Even like when I go for walks sometimes, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I've like took a breath.
Yeah. Or am I like breathing through my shoulders and just clenching?
Because you're like pushing the stroller and you're like, everything's just wonky.
Answering 9 million questions and giving out snacks.
Yeah.
And, all the
it's
things.
crazy.
100%.
Yeah.
Pilates and all things of the sort have become sort of trendy right now. I'm curious if you can touch on the difference between feeling the burn and actually moving really well.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think you nailed it. You can feel a burn, but that doesn't mean you're controlling the movement.
Yeah.
Ideally, you would be doing both. That's the goal, is to be able to control the movement that you're doing, have good body awareness, have good stability, and be loading enough that like you feel like you're getting a strength workout. But if you're only feeling a burn and you're holding your breath and you're feeling a lot of like upper abdominal burn, that to me is an indication that we're probably not recruiting those deep abdominal muscles with good balance. Yeah. Yeah.
Still working on it over here.
It's hard.
It's hard. It really is.
Yeah. And I think it's about finding the right position for you and the right level of exercise. And like you said, if you do that, it will feel harder than that just like gripping and really feeling like big rectus recruitment.
Yeah, I have a huge, insane rib flare just from my history with dance and everything. And sometimes we'll be in the move teaching and like Stacey will be like, ribs. And it's like such a good reminder to have someone next to me that knows what she's talking about, because it's like, it doesn't matter who you are. It's like you can get back into that thing that's
Definitely.
so quickly.
Definitely. Our bodies like to kind of take the path of least resistance. And that's like an evolutionary trait. Like we're going to use the least calories we can. We're going to go in the most comfortable
Keeps us
position.
alive.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and it doesn't mean you have to be thinking about every step you take and every move you do, but just kind of having some awareness and like check-ins throughout the day of like, am I flared here? Am I kind of softening? I think can really go a long way.
All right. So we talked about, you know, the fitness of it all, but now thinking about like every day, you even just mentioned about like sitting in your car. How can someone incorporate this kind of awareness into their body, into their everyday routines again? Whether it be someone who's literally sitting at their desk all day because they have an office job, or you're momming all day and like you're bending down and you're like
Taxi
picking up all
driver,
the
sitting
kid
in the
stuff.
car.
Yeah, there's all these different ways that people are moving throughout their day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one thing is taking a few moments throughout the day to do like a check-in and kind of identifying maybe where your points of stress are. Like, do you tend to, you know, clench through your neck, and are you holding your breath, or are you like sitting there just gripping your pelvic floor all day and you're getting some tension?
I'm at my computer and I'm always like,
of course.
That's me all day long.
Yeah. And I think the underlying reason for a lot of symptoms can be kind of this overactive nervous system. So if you're living in this like fight or flight, which a lot of moms are, especially if you're working, like that's an added stress. So if you're constantly like kind of up there, it's going to really just turn the volume up on some symptoms. So if you can take, like I said, a few minutes throughout the day, just a quick check-in, be like, am I relaxed? Am I breathing? Can I let that pelvic floor go or tighten whatever you need, just to kind of see where you're at and make some changes.
So
go a long
interesting.
way. Yeah.
Realizing I am
So
a ball of
I'm
stress.
Like, so when do you have time that you can fit me into your schedule?
All right. So we are busy gals, and so are a lot of our other mom friends or moms in the community. Maybe not every day people can get to a workout, but what does taking care of your body actually look like in a realistic busy life?
Sure. Yeah. It is so hard. It's so hard. And no one tells you that. Like, you just think you're going to be able to do all the things that you were used to doing. And now all of a sudden there's just less time in the day. I think a reminder that I try to instill in a lot of my patients and in myself is that something is better than nothing. So sometimes we have this notion that it has to be a 45-minute, like consistent workout. And yeah, that's great. But it can also be 5 minutes of going for a walk or doing a few, you know, Pilates moves or something that is effective, that can help in a lot of different ways. So having this notion that, okay, I'm just going to do a little bit. I'm going to take this break between calls or whatever it is to just do something for me, whether it's walking around the house, like that adds up. So don't negate the importance of that.
Yeah. I like to call those movement snacks.
Yeah.
Throughout the day.
that's cute.
Yeah. Little snacks.
They are effective.
Yeah.
For sure.
It all compiles and
And
all
then,
adds
like,
up.
quite literally the opposite. My two jobs are extremely physical.
Sure.
I'm curious if there's something that you can give the people who might be having a more physical job. Like, what's a opposite of a movement snack? Like a reminder to like sit down and not squeeze your pelvic floor for 20 minutes. Like,
Meditate.
Seek therapy.
Yeah. And whether if you have a job in fitness or something where you're on your feet all day, or you're momming, like momming is so physically demanding.
Yeah.
Taking those moments to rest is important, and not feeling like you should constantly be doing something. Like giving yourself permission to take a break will make your workouts, whatever they end up being, or your next class that you're teaching, more effective and a little bit safer for you.
It's funny. I've gotten to the place now where in Pilates or dance, the dance is easier for me because they're younger, but I will sit and be like, Miss Kelsey's back is hurting, so I'm going to sit, but you guys are going to work really hard. Or like in Pilates, I'm like, oh, I'm modifying this one.
Yeah.
And it's like almost just being able to own that, like own the modification, own like whatever level you're in. If you put your feet down and the rest of us are in tabletop, like that's badass because you made the choice for yourself to actually protect your ex.
Absolutely. It's I took a workout class for like in a new local studio, and we were doing like toe touch, like V-ups. And for me, like that is not a good movement for me right now. So I modified it. And the teacher came over and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'll dome if I do that.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, cool. Like, he was like, good for you. Like, that's great.
You made the choice.
Yeah.
I feel like we should touch on doming because that's something that comes up quite a bit in our classes.
Me all the time, Kelsey. So I was like, stay just similar to how I fix your, I don't fix your ribs, but we were aware of each other's
it's good.
challenges. I'm always always doming. Kelsey's like, well, that's doming.
Yeah.
But you're not
Even,
doing
like,
that, right?
Even like someone the other
Yeah,
day was
yeah.
like, she's an extremely fit mom, but she is experiencing some doming in the most challenging exercises.
Sure.
Want to touch on that just a smidge?
Absolutely. I could talk all day about that. So when we say doming, it typically refers to like a popping out of like the midline of your abdomen. It can typically be from two things. So sometimes if there is like widening of the abdominal muscle, so we have two sides of our abs and there's a space between them. If there's some widening there, and we increase pressure, like we talked about. So like if you're doing like a leg lift or, some, whatever it is, it's going to increase pressure in that core canister. And if we can't manage that pressure, if the trampoline can't come down well or push back up well, we're going to get some popping out of that pressure. So that's really all it is pressure management. Typically, if we can learn to recruit the deep abdominal muscles a little bit more or breathe with the right timing, we can manage that pressure better. So sometimes it's slowing the movement down. Sometimes it's changing the position. Sometimes it means like, this is just too hard for you right now. And that is okay. Just recognizing it, trying to modify the current move. And if it's still doming, changing the move a little bit.
Yeah.
We see it a lot in moms, but is there, a way for abdominals to separate even if you've not been pregnant?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes if you had a surgery, it can happen. And sometimes women that's their anatomy. Like they tend to be a little bit bigger in their belly. I see it in men all the time as well with back pain. They'll have a lot of coning too. So it's not necessarily after pregnancy. It's common because those muscles stretch during pregnancy, but it's not always from that.
Yeah. So other than physical therapy, what can they do at home? I mean, taking it to the basics, start kind of practicing that exhale, drawing belly button to spine, being able to maintain that when you draw your knees to tabletop.
Absolutely. It's a lot of timing. So we have these big like rectus muscles. Those are like your six-pack muscles that look really good and they're important to be strong. But if those are so much stronger and if we have this pattern of kind of recruiting those first, then we're a little bit more inclined to have some of that doming or that like bread loaf. Have you heard that term where it like literally looks like you have like a loaf of bread in the middle of your belly?
So your goal would be to fire through your transverse abs first.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the correct pattern.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of recruiting those deep abs.
I'm like, what language are we speaking right now?
No, it's so good.
And it takes practice. It's coordination. Typically, I find those muscles are strong.
Yeah.
Our brain is just not used to recruiting them.
I always wonder, like, kids can just like do this.
Yeah. Their pattern hasn't gotten confused yet.
Yeah,
It's just a little bit
Why
more
did we get so
natural.
confused?
We're aging.
Stress.
We're
Stress.
teen moms.
It's so
We hold our breath and then we kind of get into this backwards
and
pattern.
also like stress of like having a baby or like, like stress in exercise. Like that's all stress. Like if you're for men, if you're a bodybuilder, that's stress.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Absolutely.
like not just the mental stress. All right.
Yeah.
This is my favorite part. We got to get into the rapid fire.
Sure.
So we have real questions and then we have fun questions.
I'm going to add some fun ones
Okay,
in too.
cool. Let's do the real ones first. One movement mistake you see all the time.
Holding your breath.
One cue everyone should think about during workouts.
Breathe.
Yeah.
I love it. Something people ignore that they shouldn't.
Breathing.
Breathing.
Yeah, holding your breath. Pain, like we shouldn't ignore pain. If it's low level and it goes away, fine. But if it's something that's nagging, that's your body's way of saying like, we need a little bit of attention here.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't ignore it.
One thing you wish every woman knew about her body.
That it is resilient and adaptable, and no matter what you're feeling, like you're not stuck. You can make changes.
Love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Most underrated part of recovery.
Sleep.
You heard it here first.
Yes.
I'm going to go take a nap.
I know. We do need to prioritize our sleep more, I feel like, but that will come next.
It's hard.
I started taking my Beam Dream this
good,
week.
good.
I'm
We
3
love
days
Beam.
into Beam.
Yeah.
And it does have a little bit of a, what is it, the melatonin?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sleeping like a baby.
Yeah, yeah.
And my
That's
kids
awesome.
are waking me up and I'm going right back to sleep.
That's
the kicker. And not like feeling like you can go back to sleep and like doom scroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst.
That's the worst,
Anyways.
yeah.
Fun questions?
Yeah. Favorite activewear brand?
Ooh, Athleta. I don't know.
Athleta.
Yeah,
I like Athleta.
Okay.
I like Athleta,
Okay.
yeah.
All
it
about
fits me
inclusivity
well.
too. I love what they're all about.
Yeah.
Like the
So
brand,
soft.
the mission, all of it. They're a
Yeah.
great brand.
Yeah.
Favorite sneaker. I know you're a big sneaker gal. Love this.
We're gonna need another podcast.
Yeah. She's the sneaker gal.
Oh.
She told me, she's like, you're wearing the wrong sneakers.
I know I'm
She
wearing
goes,
the
there's
wrong
not enough
sneakers."
room for your toes.
I like a wide toe box. I would say my favorite brand right now is a brand called Ultra, Altra, and it's got a wide toe box. They have a lot of different models. So some of them have a high cushion, some have low, some are stiff, some are flexible. I really think of shoes as like tools in a toolbox. So depending on what you're doing, you need a different shoe. Today I'm in like a very barefoot, like almost nothing shoe, but I'm not on my feet a lot today. So that's okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I have arthritis in my toes from ballet, and my
Yes.
brother-in-law's a foot surgeon in DC, and he's like, you need to stop wearing shoes for their looks. I'm like, I can't. They're so cute. But he
know.
always wants me in a Hoka because he wants like less bend on the back of my
Yeah. Hoka has what's called like a rocker bottom shape. So it like think of a rocking chair, it rocks for you. So it's that same idea. It kind of helps propel you forward when you're walking. So great for anyone with like big toe pain. But it does have a narrow toe box.
Oh, so what should I do? I try to bend my toes as little as possible.
Okay. Well, we can work on that. But also, so Ultra makes a shoe called the Experience Flow, and it's like a Hoka but with a wider toe box. So it just lets those toes spread.
Okay,
and
maybe
work
we can
the
link
right
that
way.
if that's a thing.
I love that.
because I need to get them.
Yeah.
Do you have anything fun?
Oh, favorite supplement. Do you take any supplements? Do you like supplements?
I don't take any, mostly because I just like can't keep up.
Yeah.
So no, it's just I would love to learn more about it and figure out like what would work well for me, but it's not an area I've dived into yet.
All
but I'm
good.
open to it.
All good.
Yeah.
Favorite skincare brand?
Oh my god, you guys are gonna laugh at me. So I just use Cetaphil.
I
love that.
Okay.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. Well,
Nothing
I'm using
else.
CeraVe right now, but I'll fly.
All in the same
Yeah.
family,
All the
in
same.
my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I am like a wash my face and go to bed girl, which like you can tell.
No.
I could use a little bit more attention there.
kidding?
No, it's great.
Ask like one or two kid ones. Do you have a
Okay.
favorite brand for the kids, like clothing?
My kids wear a lot of Cat and Jack because they grow
Yeah.
so fast and they roll in the dirt, and I just am not into spending a ton of money on it when they ruin it. So
Yeah.
we I'd like to support local and like small shops, but we buy a lot at Target.
We got to be realistic.
you gotta be
Yeah,
realistic.
totally.
How old are they, Mimi?
7 and 4.
7, 4 boys or girls?
Our 7-year-old is a girl and a 4-year-old's a boy. And Morgan has discovered Athleta, so now
Love that.
I always
Yeah.
wonder when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
We were at Beyond Yoga on Saturday, and they started selling kids leggings, and I'm
It's
like, oh
adorable.
no, like
Yeah.
this is the last
Walk
thing I
away.
need to
And like
see.
I love it
Walk
because
away.
I'm like, yeah, let's go shopping together.
I know,
So
and
it's
like yeah, let's match.
right? Yes.
I keep saying though, Target all in motion for the girls.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Except everything is cropped. I'm like,
Oh,
why
the tanks.
is this
Yes.
7-year-old?
Kinley won't. I'll just size up.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a
we
good
size up.
idea.
Because they are still really like fitted
And
in
the
there.
leggings go up high.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they're okay.
But a lot
No
of
midgets
crop.
in this house.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of
Yeah.
stuff for the
Yeah.
tanks. But the leggings, 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
Kinley
definitely.
wants 100 black pairs of leggings.
I know. Sailor recently
it.
was like, I need a different color. I'm like, girl, you're not going to wear another color.
Yeah, Kinley won't wear
just
all
gonna
the
buy
other
it. You're not gonna
colors.
wear
You're not going to wear it. Just
She
want
doesn't
it.
wear any
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
And do the kids do sports?
Yes. Morgan, my daughter's into everything. Gymnastics, softball, dance, swimming, all the things.
Love.
Our 4-year-old's a little bit more like wants to just kind of like stay home and play with toys, but
yeah,
we're
yeah.
we're working on soccer and karate.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he
So
wants
cool.
to be a race car driver, so
Amazing.
we're on that train.
Lightning McQueen who?
Yeah.
My son is obsessed. We're actually going to Monster Jam on Saturday for his
yeah.
birthday. He's like
Yeah.
very in his truck era. We actually sat outside of the school.
Yep.
For no lie, 35 minutes the other
Just
day. People
watched.
were like, Kelsey. I'm like, just keep going. We're doing it. It's just me. We're just watching.
Yep.
I have another rapid fire question before we go into our closing remarks. You are a working mom. What is your best piece of advice for women who have a full schedule, trying to do all the things and maintain their sanity?
Oh man, I think my advice is, I was talking to my mom about this, like you have to choose happy.
Yeah.
Like it can feel overwhelming and stressful, and sometimes just to take a minute and be like, you know what? I have these yes, I'm so busy, but it's because I have a great job and I have kids that I have to make dinner for and a husband that I have to spend some time with. Like taking a moment to just like choose to see the happiness.
Yeah.
That can really help
Gratitude.
because
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's busy. It's so busy.
Yeah, May. Would we call it Maycember?
December. Yeah, I recently saw a TikTok. It was like how December is so busy. It's like this is Maycember.
It's insane.
This month is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that. Find the
Yeah.
happy, choose the happy.
Choose
and-
happy. Like
You
yeah.
can tell when you're with people that aren't choosing happy. It's like you're like choose the happy. Keep going. Don't let it slip. I feel it sick.
100%. Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you're with people that choose happy, and you're like, oh yeah,
That's my people.
This is my people.
Yeah.
And also, like, a peanut butter sandwich for dinner for your kids is fine.
Hell
Like,
yeah,
Not
it is.
everything has to be like
Noodles,
this fancy dinner.
yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Yes.
We love
that's
noodles. I love
same.
noodles.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm like, that checks all the boxes.
All the
You could
boxes.
just have pasta. We're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. One stop
Totally.
shop.
Yes.
I love that. Perfection is out.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so out.
Perfection
It
is
so
out. All right. We have made it to the closing remarks. We love asking all of our guests this one question: advice that you'd give to your younger self. It's a big one for us.
Sure. It sounds cliche, but I would say like don't rush the process to get to the goal. Like I'm very goal oriented, and I've learned as I get a little older, like enjoy the steps to get there, because that's what it is. So just kind of like taking a step back to slow down and enjoy things a little bit more.
I love that.
That's so good.
All right. What advice would you give someone who doesn't feel great in their body right now? Maybe it's injury, maybe it's postpartum.
Yeah. One, you're normal. This happens. It is like you will get better. And two, like, yeah, we're resilient. We can make changes, little steps at a time. Like you will get back to that feeling, but seek help if you need it. Yeah. Don't do it alone.
What does feeling strong and confident in your body mean to you?
Yeah, I love this question. For me, it means like paying attention to my health, like balancing my wellness and making sure I'm fueling my body well, giving myself the exercise I need, but also not doing things because I'm worried about how I look.
Yep.
Like take the picture with the kids if you're in your bathing suit. Go in your bathing suit to the pool.
Yeah.
Order the sushi if you
Yeah.
want it. Like enough. Like
Yeah.
just enjoy it and don't be like, I can't do that because I'm not the right size or
Yeah.
whatever. Like no more.
You probably
I love
feel
that.
this too. We all have daughters. And so the way that you are to yourself, or the way you talk to yourself, even just saying something like, oh, I don't want to order the sushi tonight, I should just have this. Like their little ears are watching, and I feel like
Their little
their
ears.
little
Their eyeballs are
It's so
watching
crazy
their
too, because
ears.
when we were at Pilates, I was doing the same thing. I was like, lift your left toenail. I mean kneecap. What? Like,
I
am
mix
I
up words
okay?
all the time.
And then I said to her, I'm like, oh God, I hope I can fucking talk on the podcast. And here we are, not being able to talk.
You almost made it.
We're gonna leave that in because perfection is out.
I always
And I was
Sorry.
saying like such a nice thing
I'm
to her.
sorry.
I was like,
I was like,
no,
she's
no,
gonna
I needed
hate
you
this.
to say that because I would hate that.
Do it again.
All right, do it again. Okay, so we all have daughters, and I know that those little ears, they're listening, and their eyeballs are watching. And I'm curious if that ever impacts the way that you sort of like outwardly say the things that you're internally saying.
Definitely. Like any comments about like weight or anything like that, or I'm not going to eat that cookie because I want to fit in my jeans or whatever, even if I'm thinking it, like, which I'm trying not to anymore. No, not saying any of that anymore. And I've even talked to my husband, like, I mean, it's nice when he gives me a compliment about the way I look. I think that's important.
Yeah.
But I've also talked to him about being like, hey, like, compliment me on like that dinner was good, or like
Yeah.
that he noticed that like I did something well at work. Like
Yeah.
the compliments don't just have to be about what you look like.
that.
And your son's learning too. Like you can compliment a woman on her big brains
Yeah.
and not just her pretty
Absolutely.
dress or whatever.
Yes. Although it is really cute when he says like, "Sissy, you look pretty." Like
Isn't that
so
that is
sweet.
adorable.
So
Or when they're
sweet.
like,
But yeah.
"Mommy, you look beautiful today." I'm like, oh.
You're all dressed up. You aren't wearing your leggings.
Oh yeah.
Miles is like, "What? You have pants on that aren't leggings? It's crazy, Mom."
Mine freak out. They're like, "Where are you going?
Where are you going?
Where are you going? Why are you leaving us?
Where are you leaving?
Mine will say, "Are you going to a birthday party?" Even if it's just wide like sweatpants, like they're like, "You're fancy."
Fancy's the word.
Tip Friday. All right. Bonus round. All right, so we've got a special guest today for our Tip Friday. Allie Riley is here with us, and we're going to focus on our correct breathing. And we're going to take it back to the basics.
Stacey, what I want to see first is just a big inhale and exhale and what that looks like in your body. Awesome. One more. Good. And exhale. Good. So one thing that you can focus on with your inhale, with anyone's inhale, is we want it to be quiet. If you can hear a big inhale, it's typically an indication that we're using more of like our neck and chest muscles to like kind of suck in.
Interesting.
So a nice quiet inhale is going to be more like of a diaphragm inhale, which is what we want. So try to breathe in as quietly as you can. Feel any different?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Like a
I
little bit
also have
less.
like a deviated septum and sinus.
That can make it harder.
I was like, be quiet. Don't make too much noise.
So that is a thing for sure. If it's hard to breathe through your nose, it can be hard to do a quiet inhale.
But I did feel it more in my like chest.
Yeah.
Is that
Versus
goal?
like,
Yeah.
sometimes when it's a loud inhale, it's someone like
Yeah.
using like their neck to sort of get any amount of air in. Yeah. Perfect. Good. Okay. So on the inhale, we want to see like some nice movement and expansion kind of between your shoulder blades. So you should feel like you're getting a little bit more space here. Like the air coming in is opening up all this space.
That's what I always had trouble with.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. It takes practice.
This is so interesting.
And sometimes we need to do a little bit of mobility work first to get those ribs moving. But oftentimes I see if we can get that diaphragm involved in the inhale, then we see some nice expansion through this kind of back body here. Yeah. We can get that diaphragm involved in the inhale, then we see some nice expansion through this kind of back body here. Yeah. Perfect. And then on your exhale, you almost kind of keep this inflated, and we want to think that that exhale comes from just softening from the front body.
So you know what I feel like I do? Because I try and do it right. I feel like I suck it in.
On
my exhale.
Okay, yeah. It doesn't need to be a big, like, suck in. We just
Right.
want to think that the air is coming out from the bottom up. So, like, just think like
Wait,
soften.
I love that. Let's say that again. The air is exiting your body from the bottom up.
Exactly.
So you have to empty all the way from down there before you can get to the lungs. Wow, I love that.
A lot of times
I
see...
did it.
You feel
Great.
it?
Yay!
I felt this turn on.
Yeah.
Right?
So on
I
a
have no
nice
idea.
full long exhale, those deep abdominals will kick on to help manage that pressure, to help get all of that air
Bottom
out.
up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a really good.
On a normal size inhale and exhale, these abdominal muscles aren't really needed because we're not inhaling and exhaling fully, but a full exhale can be a nice way to practice turning these on.
Okay, and the pelvic
Blow
floor
all
piece.
the air out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get it all out. And what I'll see sometimes when people do that is that they'll sort of exhale from the middle. So they'll grip down their ribs and they'll push pressure down into the pelvic floor. So some air will come out, but the rest will go down this way. And that's where we can see things like prolapse and pressure and leaking because we're literally pushing pressure down when we're trying to push it back up. So we're kind of fighting against ourselves.
Wow. So one thing that we've sort of implemented at the beginning of our classes is kind of
Scoot yourself
This.
in a little bit more.
this inhale, this 360 inhale. So if you put your hands on either side of your ribs and you inhale north, east, southwest.
Yes.
And then if you exhale, you bring everything towards that midline, meaning like closing the rib cage and stuff. Is that
Absolutely.
a visual that
That's perfect.
rings true? I'm like,
Yeah.
this has been right. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. And just reiterating to people that that should feel balanced. Like if you feel more expansion through your like front fingers, you may be breathing a little bit more into the front of your body versus the back. So everything should feel balanced.
360 breathing.
Amazing. And then how that translates, say we're in movement now, we're doing something standing. Like I obviously want to feel that rib flare right up, but taking that inhale, filling the lungs, you can't really do so when your ribs are out. You have to tuck or whatever the correct anatomical cue is to breathe 360 and then exhale, feel my TA first, lift through that pelvic floor, but kind of like lowering and softening the rib cage down.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. It is, there's that tendency when you have the rib flare to try to grip with those upper abs to bring everything down. But again, that can push pressure down. So I more think like, let's exhale from the bottom. Let's get everything underneath working well. And then those ribs can just soften down. Yeah. But that takes work. It takes work. So if you're watching this and you're like, what? That is so normal. Like this, it's almost like speaking a different language. So you have to practice it and find what works for you and get there.
Over and out.
Over and out.